Here is good picture I drew of Straw Hat Pirate crew so far. If you like it, remember to follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook for more drawings. Have a nice day.
One Piece, Chapter 120, The Red Ogre Weeps.
Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the One Piece Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review on the excellently woven tale of One Piece. Our last chapter saw us with, of course, Dorry and Broggy going toe-to-toe again, with Dorry being at the disadvantage, but of course not wanting to, give in at all, and then Mr. 3 kind of giving him a little bit of a trip over there, and of course giving Broggy that unfair advantage. So that's how the chapter ended. That's how this one begins. Them kind of finishing their tussle. And it's a few pages of Broggy just has the overwhelming advantage now against Dorry. Dorry, of course, still not wanting to give in, yield, or even make any excuses and say, hey, some ale just blew up in my stomach recently. I'm not exactly, up for this battle. But ultimately that is their way as these great warriors of Elbaf. So they fight, and they fight. I don't know if it's to the death, or if he's just wounded and unconscious. But I know that Broggy, pretty much f's up Dorry. Dorry is down for the count and out. Mr. 3 goes and conveniently appears, and he's kind of like, oh yeah, great, good job, fella, And Broggy's like, what the hell? Who the hell are you? And because he basically goes and he mocks him, and he says, oh, those must be like, must be like cries of joy, because you finally beat him. And 73,467 battles, one win, Broggy got, even though the odds were tipped unfairly in his direction. So Mr. 3, though, we then go and see, he introduces, of course, himself, and he says, and I am a master of wax, or something along those lines, and he introduces Miss Golden Week. When Broggy goes to move towards him, we see that he's been encased, his legs, at least from like the knees down, have been encased entirely in wax. So we can see now, this is kind of the reveal of Mr. 3 and what his powers are. I don't know if he's a devil fruit bearer, or if he just has these magic powers, but he has something to where he can utilize or secrete wax, I guess. So that's pretty cool to find out, I guess. We then go and we are taken to, because, after this whole exchange happens, and the chapter is really very brief in the way that it's presented. There's not a ton going on in it, but it does move the story forward a bit. We then go and kind of go back to where Luffy and Usopp and Vivi are. Luffy, of course, is still trapped underneath the house that he's been, he was pinned under before Dorry went off to go and fight. We know that Zoro and Nami have been lured away and we presume to be captured. All of a sudden, because then Vivi and Usopp are like, listen, we're gonna figure out what the hell's going on here, and we're gonna go look for him. We're gonna go see if we can find, if they can find the rest of the crew, if they can find whoever's behind this, whatever the case may be, they're gonna get together and go off. I mean, Usopp's pissed because of the whole, them screwing up the battle thing. He wants to go find out who's behind this shit. so he goes and he gets his big balls out, and he's gonna get ready to go. Vivi's going to come with him, and then all of a sudden, out of the forest appears, Mr. 5 and Miss Valentine, and old Booger Boy over there, and Miss Valentine. So they appear, and they basically go and throw down like this tied up, beaten duck, Carue, the Chocobo that I like to call him. That's Princess Vivi's. And they're like, what the hell? He didn't have anything to do with this. What did you do to him? And they go and they show this little quick flashback. And basically what they did is Mr. 3's kind of hit and run tactics is, psychological warfare is like, it's, use other ones, to use a loved one, for instance, to get, someone in a predicament that you need to, so you can capture them, beat them, whatever. Very underhanded in the type of tactics he uses. So they basically lured Carue, off into the forest there or whatever, captured him, and then they were, told him, they said, just call out like you need help, make your little quack or whatever. So Princess Vivi will come and kind of break away from the rest of them. They were trying to use him to lure her out. Carue wouldn't budge though, and they beat the shit out of him, and he wouldn't even cry out in pain because he would not. He was protecting Vivi. So, but anyway, there winds up being no reason, they say, for them to carry that on because of Mr. 3 enacting his plan. Then of course Luffy is the one that they're of course, scared of his power, and he, of course, has been kind of disabled, so to speak, and trapped. And Luffy's pissed, he's just like, you son of a, he's mad, he's angry for the whole thing. So we wind up getting, again, some pretty cool stuff that goes on with that. Vivi and Usopp, they're not going to give in very easily, and they're going to come after him. So, Vivi goes and opens up her, her flasher coat that she's got there with her little hypnotic things, and goes to do her move against Miss Valentine and Mr. Five. And, and then goes and Carue is able to kind of come out of nowhere and do his peacock attack, or his peacock pierce, or whatever that is, and attack. And unfortunately, they're just greatly outmatched. I mean, even Mr. Five says you really want to take on two officer agents, and then we wind up getting Usopp goes and pulls out one of his exploding stars, fires it at him, and of course Mr. Five, we know, can ignite his body and blow his boogers up and everything, so that doesn't really affect him, and he goes and whips out a Nezpalm booger, and shoots it towards Usopp, and they're basically very easily and very handily defeated. Mr. Five goes and says something along the lines of, hey, Mr. Three told us not to kill you yet, so don't worry, we're still going to bring you back alive. And that's really kind of where things, start to get together and to wrap up over here. I don't know who is going to save them. I know Sanji's still walking around somewhere, as far as I know, in the jungle. And Usopp also, he winds up getting one of those 10,000 kilo presses done on him as well. And like I said, they pretty much just look like they're wiped out. Vivi is kind of being held up by Mr. Five there. And then they go and they explain about Mr. Three, and he does, in fact, he has the wax fruit power, so he's able to use the wax that his body secretes. The only wax that I know of that I secrete is in my ears, so I don't know. Apparently he's able to secrete more than the normal person, though, because he was able to wrap up the giant Broggy in it. So basically we go and we wind up seeing, it goes back to, and then the chapter finishes up with it going back to Mr. Three and Broggy over there. And he's like, what's your game, because obviously Broggy's trapped and defeated now. And he goes, well, to create a work of art, of course. So I don't know what his deal is. I don't know if he's going to encase him or mummify him in wax or what have you. But certainly we wind up getting introduced to a new bearer of devil fruit powers, and it's actually kind of neat. So certainly looking forward to finding out what exactly is going on with him, and finding out a little more about this power. So the chapter question that I have, though, is what do you think of Mr. Three and his powers? And as a matter of fact, I mean, because they're a little bit different, I would say Mr. Three and Mr. Five. What do you think of their powers? Because Mr. Five, with the explosive boogers, is a little bit different, and Mr. Three with the magical earwax that he can use, definitely a little bit different. So let's weigh in on those in the comments down below, and feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button, if you think that of course, that if I deserve it. And, subscribe if you haven't done so already. We'll look forward to catching you in the next one, nation. Remember, brothers and sisters, to share, subscribe, spread the word of the nation to others. And, of course, if you like watching the videos, watching them is always much appreciated. Have a nice day.